All right, so in today's video here, I'm going to talk about how to craft an irresistible offer, why you need such an offer in your business, and again, the step-by-step process to craft one and to get it out to the marketplace so you can validate it and grow and scale your business. By the way, if you want help with any of this, you can go to michaelkittinger.com/call, michaelkittinger.com/call. We'll hop on a brief 30-45 minute call, dive into your business, figure out where are the bottlenecks. Let me help put together a game plan for you. And then if you'd like my team and I's help implementing it, awesome. If not, totally cool. You can take the game plan and go and do it yourself. And I wish you all the best. But yeah, let's dive in and craft an irresistible offer. So let me flip over to the iPad here and let's get started. All right. So how to craft an irresistible offer. Before or more in context with where the offer stands, I've created this AOV framework. You've probably seen the other videos regarding the audience and the vehicle, but the AOV framework is really the foundation for your business's for your business success, and it stands for audience, offer, vehicle. So finding your ideal audience, crafting an irresistible offer, and developing an efficient vehicle. The vehicle being simply the way to get your offer in front of your ideal audience. This video is going to focus on how to craft an irresistible offer. There we go, crafting an irresistible offer. Okay, so why is an irresistible offer so important? And so when you have an offer that's on point, literally everything in your business becomes so much easier. Your messaging becomes more enticing. Instead of you having to hunt and chase down people, people are naturally drawn to you because you now have an irresistible offer, something that they want that you can deliver to them. Your funnels, so your landing page, your funnels, they start converting at higher rates. They start converting better. Your ad costs go down. So your conversion becomes cheaper and cheaper. And your sales process becomes easier. I remember back when I started back in 2016, it took me 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 calls just to close a client because I wasn't clear on my value proposition. I didn't have an irresistible offer. So as you develop this irresistible offer, your sales process will become easier. And quite frankly, you'll have more confidence in yourself, right? It's very hard to sell somebody else, to get somebody else to believe in you if you don't have confidence in yourself. And part of having an irresistible offer gives you that confidence. When you know you have an offer that's just almost too good to be true and it's exactly what your market wants, what your audience wants, and what you know you can deliver, then that builds confidence in yourself, and that comes across in your sales calls and your conversion rates. All right, so before we get to the steps to creating an irresistible offer, let's talk about some common mistakes people make with their offer. First being too general. I see this time and time again, having talked to dozens and dozens of business owners and entrepreneurs and parentpreneurs. They try to be everything to everybody. And look, I get it. I mean, even now, like I still have to fight the temptation to add more and more and more and do more and more and more. But if you're doing, for instance, like let's say you're a marketing agency and you do websites and Facebook ads and Google ads and YouTube ads and funnels and emails and copy and webinars, and like there are lots of people who do or try to do everything, and you're seen as just a generalist. You're not a specialist. And it's very difficult, especially in today's marketplace, to cut through all that noise and stand out if you're literally just seen as a generalist, because you won't be better than the specialist in any one area. Now you may, you could potentially offer some of those things, but that doesn't want to be like your irresistible offer. So again, big problem I see people make is just being too general. Second thing, and again, these are all coming from personal experience as well as working with dozens and dozens of clients. Focusing on features and deliverables and not results and the process. So if your ad copy, if your if your sales calls, if you're going into how many calls they're going to get during the program. What are all the deliverables and everything? You're focusing on the wrong thing. Remember, people buy with emotion and justify it with logic. And the results in the process is what gives them that emotion. It's what that emotional charge. It's what gives them the confidence. So don't focus on the features and the deliverables. Focus on what are the results you get people and what's your unique process or mechanism. All right? Hopefully that makes sense. Another mistake, not charging high ticket. Whew. Man, I've talked to some coaches who charge $100, $200. No. As a parentpreneur, our time is our most valuable. Well, for anybody, time is their most valuable commodity. We need to leverage our time. We need to solve big problems, high ticket problems, and charge a higher amount. So what's a higher amount? People give you different answers for considering what's high ticket. In my mind, $3,500 and up, that's high ticket. It's higher ticket. Ideally, you'd be in like at least the kind of the 5,800 and up range. But if you're starting out or something and charging $3,000, and if you don't feel comfortable charging that much, again, we'll talk about here in a minute. You got to figure out a bigger problem to solve. So charge high ticket. That way, like literally all you need is 1 or 2 clients a month and you've hit 6 figures and you can really start living the dream life. For most people, you make 15 to 25, 30K a month in take home. Like that's going to cover all of your needs and let you have a very comfortable lifestyle. And for most of us, like, especially as parents, as parentpreneurs, like we don't need the $10 million a year salary and stuff, right? Like we want time. So the 3 I's that I talk about a lot in other videos are income, impact, and independence. And that's really what we want. We want a nice, comfortable income, multi 6-figure income. We want impact. We want to go out and change the world and show our kids like how we can impact the world in a positive way. And we want independence. We don't want to be tied 18 hours a day behind, in front of our computer. We don't want to be tied to a desk, a job, all these other things. Like we want income, impact, and independence. And that's what this is all about. And then finally here, another common mistake. Again, there's more than just these 4, but these are kind of the 4 biggest ones I see. Another common mistake I see is, quite frankly, being too emotionally attached to your offer. You may be thinking, well, what? Like, what does that mean? So you may come up with what you think is the absolute greatest offer, the best thing since sliced bread. But if you go out and you take it to the market and you take it to your ideal audience and they ain't buying, like, you need to get over your emotional attachment to your offer. Right? Same with like even your audience. Like, again, there's other videos and certainly with my clients, I help them kind of identify a starving audience, but you need to not be like emotionally attached to this stuff, because the only thing that matters is the market. Is it resonating with your audience, and are they willing to pull out a credit card and give you money? Everything else is just hopes, wishes, dreams. So don't get too emotionally attached to your offer. You may have to pivot it a few times, usually just a few small tweaks. But again, it's funny because, a lot of times you see these, overnight successes or whatever, who may go from like 0 to 7 figures in a matter of months. And it's totally cool. And I've helped a handful of people go from 0 to 7 figures in less than 12 months and less. But a lot of times it's the small tweaks in their offer. Like it's not hitting, it's not resonating. And then you find the perfect combination that does hit, and that's when it takes off. So, but you can't be so emotionally attached to your offer. You love your offer, right? Be proud of your offer, especially when it's hitting on all cylinders, but don't be emotionally attached to your offer. Okay. So let's walk through a few key elements when it comes to crafting an irresistible offer. Key number 1, the value must outweigh the price. The value must outweigh the price. Simple as that. Value's got to outweigh the price. So, for instance, this is value and this is price. If they are equal, people won't buy. If somebody perceives something as being worth $10, they typically will not spend $10. The value has to be greater than the price. Because it comes down to, and I'm not going to get into all the psychology and everything, but it comes down to their confidence level. So for instance, let's say the value over here that you're providing is $10,000 and the price is $1,000. That is a good buy. That turns this into like that, where the value far outweighs the price, which is what we want. Right? Does that make sense? Now, the value needs to outweigh the price. All right, so the more value you want coming down. Now, there is a point, and I want to, for most people, like most of the time, this isn't the issue, right? The question is, how do we stack more value? The more value we charge allows us to charge a higher price. How do you charge, for instance, like, I mean, I know programs that are, $50,000. How do you do? What? Nobody's going to pay $50,000 for a coaching program? Well, sure. Just make sure that the value you provide is, like $250,000. Make sense? You need the value to weigh down this scale. The more value, the higher the price you can go. But the value's got to outweigh the price. Okay, so now I do want to point out one thing here. And that's this. That the value and the price has to be believable. It's got to be believable. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say you have $100,000 in value and you offer it to somebody for $5. That's not believable. That's too far, right? If you saw like if somebody said, hey, I've got this Lamborghini and I'm going to offer it to you for $500, like, what's wrong with it? Is it a ticking time bomb? Does it not have wheels? Is it a little Matchbox car? So it has to be believable. But ideally, the value should be 3 to 10x the price. Now, again, doesn't mean necessarily every single time, but you're trying to make the value of your offer about 3 to 10 times what the price is. It's a good start. And there's different ways you can do this in terms of like value and things like that. But, or more. I mean, this can certainly be or more. In the coaching space, it usually is. Because again, you help somebody implement a system where they can confidently and they have confidence that they can consistently, generate, say, $10,000 a month. That's $120,000 a year. How much is that worth? You could easily charge, $5,800 to $7,800 or more. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's keep moving on now. So key number 2, you must have an enticing $1 million messaging to go with your offer. So in the recap at the end, I'm gonna give you this RSVP acronym that will help kind of tie all this together. Let me explain what million dollar messaging is. Others call it your power statement. It's got several names, but in its most simplistic form. I'm going to adjust the iPad here. This may help my handwriting a little bit. I need all the help I can get. So in its most simplistic form, your $1 million messaging is simply, I help blank achieve or get blank in blank without blank using blank. So let me kind of explain. I help. This is your audience. Actually, you know what? Let me let's just make this blue. I help, this could be your audience, achieve. We'll talk about this more in a minute. I help your ideal audience achieve your big promise in time frame without, this is going to be the thing everyone else in your marketplace is saying they have to have, or something they're afraid of doing, or I'll show you here in a second. So without, I'm just going to put thing trying to avoid using, and this could be your method. All right, so, if I was, let's say I'm not, but let's say I was like a health coach or a fitness coach. So you could say, I help, women who have just had a baby, and again, achieve, get, what have you. Doesn't have to be this exact wording, but you could say, I help, postpartum moms lose 30 pounds in 90 days without starving themselves or without going to a gym, right? That's the thing they think they have to do, right? Using whatever your unique method is. What was it? I think it's P90X, right? Like, I think they're the ones who came up with this whole idea of like muscle confusion, right? Like, that's their unique method. Is it anything people weren't already doing? Well, no, but they gave it a unique name that wait, I haven't tried that muscle confusion. So I help your ideal audience achieve what's the big promise and what's the time frame, 30 days, 90 days, 6 months. Shorter is better. So this isn't, I hadn't really planned on mentioning this, but people will pay more for the same result in less time. Now, it has to be believable and you have to be able to get people results, but people will pay more. So if you say, hey, I can help you do this in 12 months, and your competitor basically comes out and says, hey, I can help you do this in 90 days, like, they can charge more because they've condensed the time. Does that make sense? But that's your $1 million messaging statement. And you want to use this a lot in pretty much everything. Now, you're not going to come out and say, like, every single time, like, I help, But this needs to be your framework for when you're talking to people, when you're putting messages out in the marketplace. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, key number 3. Let's go back to play. Design your client's journey. Right? What is the journey you're taking them on? What is your process? So here's a simple way to think about this. Here they are. Sad. Here's where you're getting them to. Yay! Right? Their desired result. So here's the start. Here's the end. Now, what are the 3 to 5 steps that somebody needs to take to achieve your end result, your desired result? Now, in each of these steps, and these are like big steps, okay? So this is like I'm not going to write all that out, but big step number 1, what's the first thing they need to? What's the second thing they need to do? Now, under each of these, there may be like 8 or 10 tasks or, additional things they need to do under that. But we're not going to talk about those things in our offer and our sales calls because that's going to overwhelm them, right? We're going to focus on the high level. Here's our process and here's the result. So when you're thinking through, okay, in order for somebody to get the desired result. Now, a lot of times, if somebody just asks you this, you close your eyes and somebody just asks you this. Because that way you're not overthinking it. You don't have time to overthink it. All right, so it's just, hey, okay, so close your eyes. Think through. The person, your ideal audience, the person is here. And they want to get to here. What's the first thing that they have to do? Like, without thinking, what's really the first big thing that they need to do? Then what's the next big thing they need to do? So I'll go back to the health example. Maybe the first thing that a postpartum mother needs to do is fix her mindset, right? She needs to believe that she can lose the baby weight in 90 days. Second thing she needs to do is and each of these you'll give it like you'll sexy it up, right? You'll give it a unique name. So maybe first thing is mindset. Second thing they need to do is fasting. I don't know. I'm just making this up. Third thing they need to do is, so they've got the mindset, they start fasting, then they need to journal, and then they need to, I don't know, celebrate. Again, this is a bad example, but, and I'll kind of walk through ours here. So as you go through and you're thinking through names, or like naming each of these steps, right? Like, this could be like mini mindset, right? Like the mindset to get back to being smaller, right? Instead of fasting, we could call this the accelerated calorie burn. This could be the the ultimate, I don't know, accountability, something like that. And then this could be the, I don't know, X, Y, and Z. But you need the 3 to 5. I want to do more than that. You don't want to have like 20 steps or anything. And this is the end result. So like as we think through, and it goes back to even at the beginning when I mentioned like the AOV framework. So the first thing that somebody needs to do here is identify a starving audience, a starving crowd. Second thing we need to do is so first is identify the starving audience. Second thing we need to do is craft the infinitely scalable offer. So we have the audience, we have the offer, and then we need to implement the predictable client acquisition process. So those are like our 3 core pillars. You need an audience, you need an offer, and then you need a client acquisition process, which I also call the vehicle. You need a way to get your offer in front of your audience and convert them into clients. So that is the journey. Like this is when you're talking like on a sales call and things, like this is where you're walking them through. These are the questions you're asking. This is the end result you're selling them on, and this is the emotional steps that they're buying into. Okay, cool. Like, oh man, so listen, I hear what you're saying about struggling to grow your business. Well, I think the reason is your audience just starving for the solution you provide? No, not really. Well, what if I help you identify a starving audience? Like, do you think that even if your offer wasn't great, even if your sales skills weren't great, but if we could just get you in front of a starving audience, like, do you think you could crush it? Well, yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. So now that we have a starving audience, if we could create this infinitely scalable offer that they want, so your audience wants this, and it allows you to grow and scale without adding more work or time. Like, how great would that be, right? We're parents, we're parentpreneurs. Like we're not these young, 18 to 25-year-olds working 20 hours a day in our mom's basement renting Lambos, right? Like we need to be able to scale our business without more time, energy, or effort. Yes. Do you think you could, like, you think if you had help crafting? Yeah. Cool. And then do you think if you had a predictable client acquisition process that allowed you to efficiently get your offer in front of your starving audience, that you would be able to generate at least 2 to 3 more clients every single month, which would take you to like 15 to 20, 30K a month? Yeah, that'd be awesome. Right? So like that's our process. Like that's kind of my framework, my journey. But you need to come up with your own. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so kind of as a recap, let's talk about the criteria to creating or crafting an irresistible offer. Now, I mentioned earlier the RSVP framework. So I'm going to walk through this framework, and then I'm going to give you kind of 6, almost like a checklist, like 6 bullets that you really want in your offer. All right, so this is more the framework, and then we'll get into the specifics. Okay, so your offer, as you're crafting an irresistible offer, it needs to be relevant. And you're like, well, yeah, duh. You'd be surprised how many offers I have seen that are not at all relevant to their audience. A prime example is like, hey, if you, if you sign up, I'm going to give you a free iPad. Well, depending on who your audience is, an iPad may not be at all what they're looking for, right? Or if you're talking to, if your offer is all about how to run a marathon, and you are putting it in front of like moms who just had a baby, like that's probably not relevant. Like, sure, there may be a couple moms out there who just had a baby and want to go run a marathon, but like most moms want to spend more time with their kids. They want to lose that baby weight, but they're not interested in learning how to go run a marathon. Like that's like they don't have the time for training. Like it's not relevant to where they're at. Right? So you need to make sure that your offer is relevant to your audience. All right? And again, this is kind of recapping everything that we just walked through. Second thing is it needs to be specific. So, I help parentpreneurs hit 20K months in 90 days without spending hours trolling Facebook groups, right? You see, so like I help your whole statement. It needs to be very specific. Again, back to your audience. Needs to be valuable. And I need to work on, I wonder if I made this smaller, but that would look weird at this point. So we're just going to keep going. Needs to be valuable. Again, remember earlier, talked about way back here. The value needs to be substantially more than the price. If it's a 1-to-1, or really even a 2-to-1, it's going to be a very hard sell. 10-to-1, 15-to-1, 20-to-1, 5-to-1 at the minimum, 3 5-to-1 at the minimum. The value somebody receives needs to be substantially more than the price you're going to ask. While in theory, if you said, hey, if you'll give me $99, I'll give you $100, and you would be like, well, somebody would be stupid not to do it. In their mind, they don't have enough confidence. There's still risk involved. It's going to be hard for somebody to give you $99 for you to give them $100 because the value is almost equal to the price. All right, and then the last one, problem specific. Think of a major problem that your audience is facing. And even if you couch your offer like your $1 million messaging as, I help parentpreneurs get to $20,000 months in 90 days, like it's still based around a problem that they don't have the income they want. They don't have the independence and the freedom that they want. Because people will pay to avoid, to get out of a problem situation more so than they will to achieve a desired end result. I don't know if I said that very clearly. So people will pay more to get out of a painful situation than they will to go from where they're at to a better desired result. If somebody is not in pain, if they're not if they're not facing a problem, it's very hard to get somebody to pull out their wallet and give you money. All right, so with the RSVP framework in mind, now let me give you just a couple, and again, it's all going to kind of tie together, but let me give you some quick bullet points here that your offer should have. First, a big promise, right? Thinking through, it needs to be relevant, specific, valuable, problem focused, but it needs to have a big promise. So if you say, hey, I'm going to help you make $100 in the next 90 days, that is not a big promise, right? This big promise, it needs to be inspiring. It needs to be like big enough, but believable enough. All right. So sometimes your offer, the reason it's not converting, it's just not a big enough promise. You're not making a big enough promise. Again, it does have to be believable. Some of these marketing Yahoo idiots are out there saying, I'm going to help you go from 0 to 100K in 30 days. Well, have you done it for anybody? Well, no, but twiddle. Again, it needs to be believable. Second thing, and I see this a lot, it needs to have a tangible end result. What is the tangible end result that they will experience? Lose 10 pounds, lose 30 pounds. hit 20K a month, land a 6-figure job. So many offers are these like frou-frou-y, like you're gonna be happier, you're gonna be more fulfilled. The problem is that's not tangible. Like there's not a definitive way to say, yes, we accomplished this, we didn't accomplish this. They need to be able to look, see, feel, touch the end result. Now, you want to have some, non-tangible, untangible, intangible results in there as well. But you need a big promise, and it needs to be tied to a tangible end result, which is part of the big promise, but they're not necessarily the same. Like I know a guy, he helps basically like computer engineers to become 6-figure security IT consultants. It's done over $1 million in like 12 months, 9 months. I did not coach him, in full disclosure. But like that's a tangible end result. At the end of your program, at the end of his program, you're going to land a 6-figure security IT consulting job. That's very tangible. Cool. Students come through. At the end of it, within, I think it's 60 days or whatever, did they land a 6-figure IT consulting job or not? Like, that's an intangible end result that you can see, feel, touch. You know what I'm talking about. All right. Third thing you need, specific time frame. Again, coming back up here to specific results, specific time frame. Shoot, I'll help you generate $1 million over the next 20 years. Right? You don't want some open-ended, unspecified program. Now, what's also interesting is I get asked a lot, like, how long should my program be? And I get torn about this too, because having gone through a lot of programs, I'm always like, man, I wish the program was 6 months or 12 months. At the same time, just like anything else, like if you give somebody 12 months, guess when they're actually going to start doing the work? Like really buckling down and doing the work to get the results. Month 10, humans have a way of procrastinating. If you make it 30, 60, 90 days, you force, like it forces the person, it forces you to take action. So you want it to be specific. Now, again, I know there's like, year-long, 2-year-long masterminds, and there's certainly ways. I've got one coach I'm working with now, and it's literally a 2-year coaching program. But it's not an open-ended coaching program. It's very specific. Each month, it's a one-on-one coaching. Anyways, been a buddy for a while. But it's a very specific coaching program. So like each month, they're taking a specific action in their business, and they have to accomplish it by the end of the month. So hopefully that'll make sense. I kind of went on a tangent there, as I often do. All right, next thing your offer needs. You need to have your journey, your roadmap, your pillars, your core pillars. 3 to 5 core pillars. Don't make it more than that. Are there 3 or 4 steps? Yeah, each of those core pillars will have, 8, 10, 15 steps underneath. But you need to have, people need to be able to see what is the path forward. If there's not certainty, if there's not clarity, there's not going to be certainty. A confused mind doesn't buy. And if you don't have that path laid out where they can see the steps they need to take, and you're confident that if they take this path, they'll achieve the desired end result, they're not going to buy it. They're not going to move forward with you. So having that journey, having those pillars mapped out, absolute must. This kind of gets back to the pain, but your offer should also address the cost of inaction. So what does that mean? So I was an economics major in college, love economics, but one of the big things that surrounds economics is this idea of opportunity cost, or not an idea, it's a true thing, but opportunity cost. And basically that is the cost of missing out on the opportunity. It's the cost of the lost opportunity. In other words, what is the cost of inaction? So if somebody doesn't move forward with your program, what's it going to cost them? If you're a relationship coach and they don't take action, If they come to you and their marriage is in trouble, they're having issues, there's no intimacy, there's no communication, man, cost of inaction. Like, hey, my program may be 10 grand. Do you know the average divorce is like 40,000? Not to mention the heartache, not to mention the toll on your kids, not to mention the XYZ. Like, I understand you're telling me you don't know if you can afford it. Let me ask you, can you afford not to do it? Not to take action? Very powerful. You should be able to address that in your $1 million offer. And then this goes back to the, this goes back to like your $1 million messaging. Your offer should be against something. Not like leaning against something, but like against, I'm going to put whatever the status quo is. I'm just going to, quo? Is that how you spell quo? Status quo? May have messed that one up. Did I mention I'm an econ major, not an English major? So, against the status quo. If everyone's out there saying, hey, you need to fast. Fasting's the only way to, fasting's how you should lose weight. Well, your offer should be positioned against that. Your messaging should be around, man, hey, if you're like me and you love to eat, there is nothing worse than the thought of fasting, of going, 18 hours without eating. Like, I don't know what these people are thinking. Because my clients and I, we lose weight, we're in the best shapes of our lives, and we didn't fast, we didn't miss a meal. Right? You're positioning your offer against kind of whatever the status quo is. Now, obviously, there's going to be other people who are doing, you're not going to be the only one not doing that. But, if everyone is, if everyone's out there saying, oh, you need to go, spam Facebook groups or cold email people, like that's the way to get new clients, cold email. And you're like, dude, I'm going to show you how, because we're parents and we don't have time for that. I'm going to show you how by spending a little bit of money, less than $500, we're going to save us dozens and dozens of hours and heartache and rejection, and we're going to get ultimately better results in a much condensed time frame. Going against the status quo. So, your framework, RSVP, relevant, specific, valuable, problem focused. Then kind of as a checklist or bullets for your offer, you should have the big promise, you should have a tangible end result. You should be able to accomplish the big promise in a specific time frame. You should have your journey mapped out, your 3 to 5 core pillars that they will go on, that they need to accomplish. Again, the easiest way, if I go back here, where are they at? What's the end result you're promising them? And what are the things they need to do? What are the big things? Like, is it mindset? Is it, confidence? Like if you were talking about how to speak from stage, like one of the core pillars may be like bulletproof confidence, right? Like before you get on stage, like this is what you need. Here's my 3 steps that I'm gonna walk you through. You need to be able to hit on the cost of inaction, and then to stand out. Like what is the thing they've tried and didn't get results with? That's what you want to go against. Man, I understand you've tried dieting. Like I hear you. Like I've tried every diet under the sun. But have you tried the overnight calorie burner? No, what? That could be your unique mechanism. And it could be as simple as like a food or like a vitamin B you take before bed, and it, burns calories at a higher rate overnight while you're sleeping or whatever. I don't know. But you see what I'm saying? Like whatever the status quo is, whatever's the thing that they have been trying. Like if people have been trying to, if people are trying to lose weight and you're talking to them about your offer, and you say, hey, I'm gonna help you diet and exercise. Well, I've tried dieting, I've tried exercise, that didn't work. Your program's not for me. Right? You got to go against it. Listen, real quick, and this video went a little bit longer than I wanted, but I do love to talk, and hopefully you found it extremely valuable. If you want help with this, if you are a parentpreneur and you want to get to 20K a month in the next 90 days, working less than 6 hours a day, then go to michaelkittinger.com/call, michaelkittinger.com/call. My calendar's on there. pick a time. There'll be a short questionnaire, so I have some information prior to hopping on the call. And we'll hop on there. It's about a 30, 45-minute call. We'll dive deep into your business, or if you're just starting out, kind of talk to you about, who's your starving audience? What are those things we need to look for? And, sure, if it makes sense to work together, I'd love to help you out. But worst case, you'll walk away with a step-by-step game plan, knowing exactly what you need to do to move your business forward. So again, michaelkittinger.com/call, and I will see you in the next video.